Welcome back to art class. Today we are going to work on a wonderful, wonderful masterpiece. This is using crayons and watercolors, and it is actually called Watercolor Crayon Resist. If you use crayons and then put watercolors on top of those crayons, something really amazing happens. Something magical happens because the crayons are made out of wax, and the wax makes it so the paint can't get onto the paper. So it makes these really, really neat effects, and we're going to go into that a little bit. If you don't have watercolors, that's okay. You can simply color with markers, or you can color with your crayons, or you could do some other things. But I really, really do want to let you know that today's lesson is going to be concentrating on watercolors and crayons and how they work together. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we have our cheat sheet next to us, or you can have the box of the different patterns as I discussed earlier. Here, getting these patterns for you. Remember in my last lesson, I talked about how right now you should be getting some flashcards, or you should be getting some sort of resource list together. That way, if you're looking at patterns or if you're looking up line designs, you can always find them somewhere. Artists are very resourceful people. We like to have a lot of different things around us. We like to have different things in the shape of bulletin boards or flashcards or workbooks, just because we see ideas everywhere. So right now, you're getting into that where you're starting to see the patterns on your clothes, the patterns on your couch, the patterns on your pillows. Patterns are everywhere, and we can put them into our artwork to make our artwork really interesting. All right, so I'm going to put this away, and I'm going to concentrate on this. Also, remember, we're going to revisit, because you guys are going to be working with papers. You can either have your paper standing, so your paper will look like this, or you can have your paper sleeping, so your paper will be like this. And I'm going to show you two different ways that we're going to make this design. The first one that I'm going to show you, well, you need a nice piece of the watercolor paper that was sent home in your packet. Do not use the construction paper, because that will not work with watercolors. It will just not work. So make sure that you're using that nice paper that was sent to you. It's the 8.5 by 11. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to create my design with a black crayon. I'm going to just create a border with my black crayon. And the way that I like to do this is I like to make an X on my paper. And I can make an X in different ways. So I think for my first line that I'm going to make, I am going to do, and please do not do what I do. Please make sure that you are only looking at this to get ideas. All right, so I make this line going this way, and then I think I'm going to make another line, maybe with a different color crayon. I think I'm going to make another line going from one corner to the other corner. So you see how this makes almost like an X. So what I am now doing is I am creating what I call rooms. And each of these rooms are going to have different patterns inside of them. So if you want, you don't have to do what I do with the X. You can make a different kind of painting. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make my line. I'm going to do a zigzag line right here. Okay, so I'm just going straight up and down vertically. And then I think I'll do a castle line going this way. All right, so I am still making rooms. I am just making them in a different way. So this would be one room, another room, another room, and another room. And you see how these lines, they have now given me a border. And I am going to be making different patterns inside of this border. All right, so I am going to show you what some of my work has done or has looked like in past exercises. Before I go on to the next step, I do want to show you how this or this ends up turning into an amazing piece of art, all right, using line designs and patterns. So I'm going to show you the examples that I usually show in class, right? So this right here is done with what kind of line? What kind of line do you see in here? That's right. This is the castle line. And then what line do you see here? Okay. This is the curved line, but also when these are all strung together, I'm going to give you a new vocabulary term. This is called the scalloped line. I almost said squiggle line, but that's not right. It's called a scallop line, and I'll write that on the description in the video. Now, this creates my rooms. Just by making a line here and making a line here, all of a sudden I've created some different rooms. So this is one room, this is one room, this is one room, and this is one room. And in every single room, you are going to do a different line design. So this is one example. This is another example. So again, I made it from one side to the other side, and then I did different patterns in each of those. Now, can you see the crayons? The lines are made with the crayons, and then the painting is done with watercolors. And the more work you do on your patterns, the more crayons you put down, like the different colors you put down, I think the better your artwork is going to look. You really have to concentrate a lot on making a lot of different patterns before you start painting. Once you start painting, you cannot make these same designs with your crayons. It just doesn't work that way. You can't go on top to create the watercolor crayon resist. So this is another example. Can you tell that I really like the zigzag line? I really like the wavy line. This I think is cool too because it goes underneath the zigzag line. And then last year I had one child, his name is Hamza. He said, oh yeah, we could do this square and we can call it the squirrel line instead of the swirl line. So all of us started making squirrels, which was really a lot of fun. But again, these are just patterns. So I'm doing some wavy lines in here with some zigzag lines. In here, this is all the curly lines, just done in different colors. We have all sorts of different lines. Now, this is one that I did last year as a sample, and I never got to finish it. So I'm going to try to finish it this year. But again, you can see I did the wavy line, I did the zigzag line, and then in here, all I did was I just made lots of different circles in different colors. I did lots of different patterns throughout the entire thing. That way it created a lot of interest. These are just dots, right? So you could just do a bunch of dots in one room. You could do a bunch of different colors in one room, and then it's really going to come out pretty cool when you do your designs. Okay, so those are some samples. Now again, you can decide if you want to do it this way or if you want to do it this way. That's fine if you just want to do it going across this way, going across this way. The main thing that I want to make sure that you do is I want you to have different spaces. I want you to try to do at least 4 different spaces. Okay, so you need your crayons. If you have neon crayons, those work great, but you don't need neon crayons. I just happen to have them. If you have them, great. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my designs. Usually I will call out in class and I will say, well, what kind of pattern do you think I should make using this beautiful little cheat sheet that I have? And then someone will call out a line, and then we'll go ahead and we'll make a pattern on those lines. So I'm just going to pretend that one of you are here with me right now, and I'm going to say, oh, okay, we have the zigzag line. Oh, sorry, I'm going to do something completely different. I'm going to do a curly line because I want to show you what you can also do with these different things. So right now, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to make another line right next to it. That's the same. Ooh, this is already coming out kind of cool. Because I like to do this a lot because this gives me another space to make an interesting pattern in. So all I do is I'll make one line, and then I'll make another line that's the same right next to it. And all of a sudden, it's almost like I have a tube. And I can make some designs inside of here. And I think that's pretty neat to work on also. The thing that I want to show you right now is how you can create these shapes. Yeah, basically those are shapes. You can create shapes out of line. And I'm going to show you with the curly line. Okay, so I just made a curly line. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give myself a little bit of space, and I'm going to follow that line that I made. All right, you see how I did that? Then I'm going to do it over here. I'm just going to go around the line. And that creates a lot of interest too. And I can also, if I want, I can go inside. And this is a really good exercise to do if you want to start creating bubble letters, because that's what we do when we're creating bubble letters. You can write a letter, and then you could just trace around that letter, and you erase the original letter, and you've got a bubble letter. So this is how you can start doing that. So you see how I just did that with this line. Now what I'm going to do to create my pattern, I'm just going to change my color. And I'm just going to keep on going with that to make my pattern. I'm going to go back to this color. So all of a sudden I've got this pattern using these curved, scalloped lines. And again, the more lines you use, the more details you have, the more interesting your artwork is going to be. So even if I wanted to, now what I could do inside of here, I could start even making more designs, or I can start coloring certain things in different ways. I know a lot of people, they really want to get started. They want to get started with the painting part of it, but I think that if you really concentrate on making those really cool designs, you're going to see the magic happen when you start working on your painting. So for day one, I want you just to work on your line designs. I want you to really concentrate on making those line designs. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you what to do for the second part, the painting part.